Hello, this is SDSU-Tube. I'm Thomas Wilfred Nieman. This is David Andrew Brown. And he was at the Southern Utah game as the Jackrabbits get their second win of the season as they beat Southern Utah 26-6. And before we get to that, David, let's talk about the staging area they've got going here outside of Coughlin Alumni Stadium. Work on the new stadium getting started, and from what we've heard from Justin Sell, the athletic director here, they're going to start on this east side first, right?
Yep, they're going to start on this east side, which is right behind Tom and I, and they're going to move to the west side a little bit later, probably next season probably. They're sort of trying to build around the football schedule a little bit. Once the football season ends, they'll do a little more extensive work, but they've got the Student Athlete Center, they've got the practice facility all done, and now it's the Dana J. Dykhouse Stadium, which should be done in 2 years.
Very exciting. 2016, yeah, the Jackrabbits will be playing in the new stadium here on campus. All right, South Dakota State goes to Southern Utah in Cedar City, Utah, come out with a 26-6 win, and just from the get-go, the Jacks come out, take it right down the field, and get a touchdown on their first drive.
Yeah, they really established the run. They made a couple of passes, but really it was about a ground and pound type philosophy. They weren't explosive plays. Zenner did have a 17-yard run in there, but a lot of 5-yard runs, 6-yard runs, 7-yard runs, and that wasn't just Zach Zenner. Brady Mangarelli had a couple of nice runs. He had over 60 yards on the game total, so the running attack really worked at first. Now, they didn't eat up the clock that much, but it was a 13-play drive. It took a little more than 5 minutes, and honestly, it sort of wore the Southern Utah defense out a little bit just for the Jacks establishing something early on.
Good little statement for the Jacks to get the game started there. And then South Dakota State had 3 interceptions in this game. Their first interceptions of the season, and one by Shane Gottlob, the defensive end, took it in for a touchdown.
Yeah, the converted tight end, and we talked to Coach Stiglmeyer earlier, and he said Shane's got to work on his touchdown celebration because he's not going to get in the end zone that often, but just a great play. This came after a Zach Lujan interception in the end zone. Southern Utah brought it out to the 6, but then on first and second down, what people don't realize is they made a couple nice stops on the run, so they forced him in a 3rd and long situation at the start of the second quarter, and Aaron Cantu, the Thunderbirds quarterback, he threw a screen pass really high, and Gottlob got his big, meaty paw up there and took it in from 4 yards out, and that was the end of Aaron Cantu. Southern Utah switched quarterbacks after that to a guy named Amon Olson, and he played for the rest of the game.
It didn't seem to throw the Jacks off a whole lot because Southern Utah had, just 60 yards of offense in the first half?
Yeah, just 60 yards, 250 to 60. SDSU outgained Southern Utah in the first half, and a good chunk of that 60 yards came on one big pass play early on in the game on Southern Utah's first drive. So the defense played about as well as you can imagine in that first half. Stig said there were some things to correct in the second half, but as far as a total team effort, by far their best defensive showing of the season.
And Zach Lujan did have the 2 interceptions, as you said, but a nice throw to Jake Winicky late in the first half for another touchdown.
Great throw, even better catch. Winicky was double covered, but Lujan put it right where he needed to. Winicky, that 6'3" receiver, a Jason Schneider clone, if you will. He's going to make those types of plays for years to come. He just went up and grabbed it and got it at its highest point, came down with the touchdown.
Right, 21-0 Jacks with the lead at the half, and they kind of cruised from there, win at 26-6. There was some freaky plays in the
crawling plays
late in the ball game, including a 2-point defensive conversion, I guess, by the Jackrabbits. Describe what happened at the end of the ball game here.
Okay, so SDSU was trying to get the shutout. They were up 24-0 with about 5 minutes to go in the game. Southern Utah just hits 3 big plays in a row. They score on a 1-yard touchdown. Now, after that touchdown, they get a unsportsmanlike conduct penalty. It's 15 yards. Now, they're down 24-6 with 5 minutes to go, and as we talked about on Jack Journal last week, Coach Stiglmeyer has his card. When do you go for 2? Well, they got to go for 2 there. If they make it, it's 24-8. It's a 2-score game. So they have to go for 2. Now, Stig got confused because originally the refs said they had to take the 15-yard penalty on the kickoff. Then right before it, they corrected it, said, do you want to take it on the 2-point conversion? He said, well, obviously, I want a 2-point try from the 17-yard line. So they get backed up to the 17, and Southern Utah, they line up in field goal formation, but Stig wasn't buying it at all. The holder fakes, the kicker, does his fake kick, and then the holder tried to do a throwback pass, and Trey Carr just stepped right in front of it and ran 75 yards the other way. But, yeah, it's one of those things. It can't happen in the NFL. It's only in college that you can return a point after touchdown or a 2-point conversion, and only the second time in school history that South Dakota State's had a defensive extra point or defensive two-point conversion, whatever you want to call it. Either way, that got you to that 26-6 final score.
Right. 17 years ago was the last one, so yeah, a little rare, but 26-6 final. You talk about Trey Carr as a freshman, JT Hassel as a true freshman playing very well. A lot of good young players playing well for South Dakota State early in the season.
Yeah, Trey Carr, JT Hassel, true freshmen who are making huge impacts. Hassel was once again phenomenal, cutting off gaps, especially on some running plays. And of course, we know he's quick when he chased down that Cal Poly receiver from 89 yards. But Trey Carr was undoubtedly the defensive star of the game. He had an interception. He returned it for a touchdown. It was called back on a couple of penalties that Stig was questioning a little bit. He understood why, but Jake Gentile got a block in the back on the interception return. But the interception itself, one-handed, just a nice play by Trey. Of course, he returns that two-point conversion. But then another critical play was on a 4th and 3 with Southern Utah in the red zone. He batted a ball away on a slant out, or excuse me, a post outside. So he played beyond his years, is what Stig said in postgame. And Trey Carr is probably going to be a player to watch in the coming years for SDSU.
Yeah, you can just start to see now that the Jacks having all the success, 9 wins in the last 2 seasons, and getting to the playoffs, the level of players that they're able to start recruiting now, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Not only recruiting, but being able to play these guys and feeling confident to play these guys immediately. Like true freshmen starting in, I know they're non-conference games, but Southern Utah's a Big Sky team. This is a good FCS conference. And Stig and Clint Brown, the defensive coordinator, are trusting these true freshmen to make plays, and they're doing it so far.
All right, Wisconsin-Oshkosh is up next for the Jacks. 6 o'clock game here at Coughlin on Saturday. It's a Division III team. They don't have any scholarships. A game that the Jackrabbits, if they don't win, something's wrong, right?
If they don't win, it would be an upset of monumental proportions. I know it's an FCS school. They're Division I AA technically, but they should have no problem with Wisconsin-Oshkosh. It's a Division III team. Now, the big thing is this game comes before the bye. So, some people might joke, oh, they got 2 bye weeks in a row. But they need to correct some things. Stig talked about the penalties. They had 8 penalties during that game. They had a couple of holding penalties against Southern Utah that wiped out runs that took them inside the 5-yard line and resulted in no points in either of those drives. So penalty correction is probably the big thing, and then probably stressing the turnovers again. As you said, the first turnovers of the season came in the Southern Utah game. So things to correct, things to work on, but as far as gleaning anything from this Wisconsin-Oshkosh game, taking anything from tape, might be a little bit hard to tell because the level of competition is just different. That's not a knock against Oshkosh. It's just the way it is. They're a D3 team playing a D1 team.
All right, we'll see. The Jacks are always trying to play a perfect game. We'll see how well they play against Wisconsin-Oshkosh on Saturday. And that's it for SDSU-Tube.
Well, one more thing. We did not coordinate this. Maybe we did. I don't know. But yes, that's SDSU-Tube.